When was the last time you bought a car? Do you know which is the highest selling brand in India? Here's a fun fact for you. One of China's leading automaker spends more money on the car than the actual selling price of the car. Here's another fun fact for you. SUVs as a percentage of total passenger vehicle sales in 2012 was only about 14%. Today, it accounts for nearly 50%. Join us this Saturday where we look at the recent trends in the auto industry and look at future growth to take advantage of.
You like a business immensely. You think it has a great future. You think there is scope for long, sustained growth. You think that the profitability should be good. You believe the company would be able to create significant operating leverage over long periods of time. You want to invest in such businesses. This is every investor's aspiration. There's nothing new in it. When you look at a company, you look for these traits because you think these are the traits that will deliver long-term success for you. But while all your assumptions on a company could be right, there is one assumption on which you could go wrong. In fact, most of the time, it is that assumption that keeps an investor away from succeeding in an investment. That assumption is time. We think a company would do well in 2 years, it takes much longer. There are instances where one is so early that after 10-15 years, whatever you thought about a company materialize by the time you have sold and exited that company. This is a familiar story. It's happened to all of us again and again and again. Many times, we don't know how to set the right time horizon for our investment. So what's the best way in which you can overcome this deficiency? How do we overcome this obstacle? How do we turn this in our favor? After all these years, I can think of only one method of doing it. Set yourself a time horizon so long that the idea has ample opportunity to deliver for you. I know a lot of you have heard this theory that you buy a stock which you would never sell. Ideally, that should be the case, but most of us can't do it in practice. So, the next best thing is to set a very long time horizon. This is where the topic of this video is something that is very close to my heart. What is your time horizon? Set a time horizon so long that your idea has the opportunity to deliver on your expectations. As an investor, I found myself extending my time horizon in investment with every decade. And as I extended the time horizon, my success rate, my ability to improve the outcome, rate of returns, everything turned for the better. The time horizon that I am going to talk to you about today is an investment filter that I feel is most important for me where I am in my investing journey. It's a 10-year filter that I am going to talk to you about. I already made a video in vernacular which a lot of people liked, and I saw in the comment section that people were telling me to do the same video in English, and hence this video. In 2010, I was looking at businesses which I really liked and would love to own for very long periods of time. At that point in time, I didn't know how many years, but I thought I would at least own it for 5 years. As it turns out, I held most of these investment for 7 to 8 years. the results were extremely good. When I moved out of those investments, I wanted to buy companies which I would own for at least 5 years. Once again, I started with the 5-year filter. But through this journey, many of them have done extremely well. And I feel that I should hold these business for at least 10 years. By doing so, I would give them time to become multi-baggers. And at that point, I would be also well equipped to decide whether I would like to own them further as compounders. Ownership experience will drive our behavior, and ownership experience can improve only if you give time. Over the period from the peak of 2018 to now, something I've learned comparing a few of the companies that did very well for me. One company went up even before COVID struck to a very high valuation. It went up over 5 times in less than 3 years. But another company did not recover even my cost for 4 years. And in the 5th year, it went up 3 times. The third company has been consistently rising. Each of these companies have a different way of delivering returns, but all of them have delivered returns. Now, if I compared these 3 companies every quarter, I would have allowed my recency biases to force me to act on the investment. Because some companies tend to behave like the Chinese bamboo. And it is those companies that give you the highest returns. I was just seeing returns in some of the pipe manufacturing companies. The way they have given returns, nobody would have predicted 10 years ago that a boring business like pipes would deliver such high returns. How could you participate and make so much money in such a theme? Only by giving more time. There is no other way. Today there could be multiple themes which are nascent, which have huge scope for operating leverage. But companies are not making profit today. They're just making losses or very marginal profits. But these businesses could grow so much over the next 10 years and become very, very large, creating profit pools which could be the size of today's revenue. How could you beneficially own these companies and make that money? You can do it only by having long investment horizons. That is where having a long horizon helps you to look at a business from where it will be at the end of that horizon. That is where my 10-year filter helps me a lot. So at 5 years, in most of these investments, I'm not tired, I'm not impatient, because I told myself when I invested that I'll wait for 10 years. It's very difficult for you to discuss a company which you are giving 10 years time to perform with peers in public, because they would be seeing what happens every quarter. So you should also know how to manage yourself during a long gestation period. That is the next point. So set yourself a 10-year filter. Choose your businesses, clearly envisioning how they would be. See with every passing quarter whether you are on the right path, whether the business has the right optics to deliver for you over 10 years. You need not call yourself into investment action. You need not sell, you need not buy unless you are seeing clear evidence. Also, set your expectations and see whether the company is living up to them or doing even better. Be very clinical. Don't be emotional, because this is a very long journey. It's like running a marathon, and you need to have the same energy right through the run. You cannot see your energy flagging after you have covered some distance. You cannot develop cramps. You cannot be forced out of the race because of fatigue. So you need to maintain your mind, set your expectations, have the right conviction, and pace your investment in such a way that you don't want to bail out. You don't want to leave that investment, and you are always sure that the investment will deliver for you. Method is very important when you have to hold an investment for 10 years. Your method of research, your method of validation, your method of monitoring the investment, your method of review, and how you respond to red flags, how you respond to challenges, how you respond to external validation of the idea, how you see others totally disagree with the idea, but you are still maintaining your conviction. As an investor, in your evolution, if you are able to do this over a 10-year period with an idea which is reasonably good, the returns will be so high that you would always want to be patient in all your investments. It's not easy, but if you have spent long years in the market, the only meaningful way for you to be a successful investor is to set a long investment horizon. For me, the 10-year filter is a perfect smell test for an idea which I want to scale up. It's the perfect smell test for a long-term investor. It's the perfect way of validating an idea before I put money in it. And it's a good way to discipline myself into making choices which will deliver for me and which will also give me an enriching ownership experience. Thank you for watching this video.